Hello, my name is Markel Albritton. I'm a student at Parks University. I major in marketing. The outline that I chose to write about was entitled Inside the NBA, where I was basically giving people an outline of the things that they don't see that goes on behind the scenes in the locker room as far as trade deadlines, ownership, the support that they get from the city, notification that players not even given that they about to be traded. Uh, for instance, you got a star guard, four-time All-Star guard, DeMar DeRozan. He just got traded from the Toronto Raptors, and he wasn't even notified until the day of. So he only found out when we did. But I don't really feel like that's right. He didn't feel like it was right. He voiced his opinion via social media, where city of Toronto kind of turned his back on him, but it really won't them. So it just really goes to show that, man, sports is more of a business than a sport because it's always money first. It's always about the money. It's always about capitalism. It's always about politics. Because you got players like Michael Jordan who was loyal to his city, but nowadays he still gets bashed for not even doing the things that LeBron James does, and I don't really think it's fair. Then you got other players like Kobe Bryant who really didn't make that much money as a player, but just recently invested $6 million into a competitive drink for Gatorade, and now it's up to 200 million. So it's a lot that really goes on behind closed doors that we as the fans, the people, we really don't know about. Uh, you got owners who conversate with other owners about letting them in on part ownership of teams when that's not right. Um, you got players who are born and raised in the city who all they want to do is play basketball, but it's like now basketball players don't even really have control of their destiny. It's more of a political thing where, for instance, you got the Golden State Warriors, like the top 3 or 4 players play for that team. They took pay cuts, and now they're trying to say that there's some kind of way that the ownership is messing up. Like it's a big mess. And I just feel like we as the fans, we as the people, we the people who really watch it, the people that really support it, I really feel like we should have more of a say so as far as what goes on. Because if I was in the NBA, there's no way that I would just want to know that I got traded to a team the same way that my wife or my girlfriend did. Um, the media, they have a way of really making you fall out of love with the game. For instance, there was this guy that played for the Cleveland Browns named Josh Gibson, and he for whatever reason was on drugs real bad, skipping workouts. So the Cleveland Browns cut him for a whole year. He finally got back right. You know, he went to rehab. He did everything he was supposed to do. He went to training camp. So now they gave him another deal. They gave him another chance. But you still have the media who just the other day he was with his child at practice and they brought it up, which I feel like was real negative. I feel like it was a real cheap shot, but you know, they got a job to do as well. So as fans, we just watch the ball go in the hoop and we watch the players score touchdowns, but we really don't know what they go through personally. Because I know if I was a football player and I had my son with me, I won't want a reporter walking up to me asking me about my drug addiction, my previous, life or whatever. I really feel like that's really disrespectful. But as players, you really don't have no control over it. Um, got to keep your composure. You got to understand that you're a public figure. Like LeBron James left Cleveland, they burned his jersey up. You know, they did the same thing to Shaq whenever he left LA. Then you got players like Dwayne Wade who been in Miami for so long, and now he talking about retiring next year. And now Nike don't even want to sign him no more. It's really too much of a political thing versus a sports thing, and I just feel like it's really more of a business than a sport. Um, you got players like DeMar DeRozan, who grew up in Compton, grew up hard. He wanted to play ball in California, but they gave him a deal in Toronto, so he said that he only wanted to play for one team. But for whatever reason, they traded him without notifying him, which I feel like was very disrespectful. So, there's a lot of things that go on inside the game that we as the fans don't know about that I really feel like we should look into. Um, you got some coaches that don't want to coach. You got some players that don't even want to play. Honestly, I can't even say that there'll be another player that'll play for one team for their entire career. I feel like it might happen, but I feel like that chance is very rare just because of the amount of money that's being thrown around. You got players like LeBron James who just signed for 4 years, 145 million. And you got other players like Steph Curry who signed a 6-year, $250 million deal. So, I just feel like as fans, we really need to start looking more into the sport instead of just looking at the sport. Again, my name is Markel Albritton. This is entitled Inside the NBA. Thank you.